Welcome to the live stream of Why Trauma Stops Getting You Out There with Mark Walsh and Erika Chalkley. Will be beginning in 9 minutes.
Hello.
Hello, Mark. Just to let you know, the live stream is going.
Okay, so don't swear, right? Definitely don't swear. Don't say anything controversial. No, California's still in bed. Will it annoy the hippies if I eat caviar during the session? What do you reckon?
Don't care. Eat it. do we care about annoying the hippies?
It's my fun game. Is Erika not here?
No, unless she's not named herself in the list.
Interesting. Okay. I'll see if she's there. Let me see if I recognize some of the names. Occasionally they have different names. Verses. Okay. All right, never mind. We good to go? You good with the safety stuff now?
Yes.
Nice one.
Yes.
What was that? The last session was pretty good, huh?
Yeah, really good. Really good. Oh,
I liked Alan. Did you notice the land took over the lead from me? I've never seen anyone else do that. It was very well done. I was like, good work, girl. And I thought the teaching was excellent.
It was beautiful. Beautiful.
Really
one thing I am having trouble with, I can't access making sure participants can't unmute themselves. So if I make you a co-host, could you?
Sure. I'll just mute anyone who does that. But just you're here, just go. You can look down the list really easy and find out who it is because they'll have a yellow box around them as well. So it's not the end of the world if it happens. Okay.
Okay.
I'll let people in. I think. Why not?
Yeah.
We haven't pressed. So the live stream's going, but it's not being recorded, or it is recorded?
Not yet. It's not being recorded. Live stream's going.
Hello, everybody. Boys, girls, and dolphins, welcome. Oh, what do you think? Is this better than the room I was in yesterday? It's more comfortable for me, but I'm not sure if it looks as good because I'm more relaxed.
I like it. I like the colours.
Yesterday I was in my bedroom and it felt a little bit intrusive, like at the end of the day, you know. So
yeah.
Private space that's not work orientated. We can get some flowers in here. Flowers in the shop. Is that in the shop yet? Oh, nice.
One spike.
One spike. Not quite. Hello, everyone. Hello, Amelia. Amelia's my favourite new friend. So who else is here? Sukyajov. Oh, that's a cool name. Where's that from? Shirley. Hello, Shirley. Hello, Ruth. Do people want to put their locations by where they are? Because I get a thrill out of seeing how global we are. I'm in Moscow once again. I'm going to be here for at least another 2 weeks. I might turn Russian.
Do you have the ability to close the waiting room so people just will come straight in, Mark?
Yeah, go for it.
I can't. For some reason, it doesn't have the option in my...
No worries. I'll see them. If people are here and want to turn their cameras on and want to say where they are in the world, that'd be great. Hey, Andrea, nice to see you again. And Kitty. Kitty knows I'm here. What's the kitty called? That looks like a fluffy one. I'm a kitty connoisseur.
My cat came on yesterday for a little show off.
I found a cat here, but like Moscow inner city cats, they're a rough breed. They're like some serious Gopnik Jav cats.
Treat with caution.
He wasn't going to let me touch her, and I don't think I wanted to. So, hello from Mexico.
Ah, Mexico, lovely.
Patricia, of course, is from there. We are truly international. Possible to see a few more people to say hi. Anyone got a question they want to ask now before we start as your early birds? Or shall I eat my caviar? I thought I'd get some caviar or something. This isn't the really posh black one. This is still, it's like 30 quid, I think. Last time I ate this, I wasn't very well, so hopefully this will go better, but I didn't quite like it last time. I thought, as just a marketing session, I'll be fancy.
Perfect.
It was more because it's like a quarter of the price it is in England. And I thought, if I'm going to try it, this is the place.
Here she is.
Turning up, Erika, just waltzing in, just having a little bit of caviar, no problem here. Make her.
I thought you were joking about the caviar. I thought
No,
that was
I'm in Moscow.
Something.
They sell it in a supermarket here. It's not that big a deal here, actually.
Still doesn't sound delicious to me, but each
I'll tell you what it tastes like. Tell what it tastes like.
What does it taste like?
Getting a official job. So no, it's okay. It's like little granules. They're sort of salty. Tastes like the sea. But, yeah. How are you today, Erika?
Good.
Are you feeling abundant and wealthy, or working class and scummy? Who are we in today?
I feel empowered and like my history doesn't inform my future.
Oh, it might inform it, but it doesn't control it.
Control it,
yeah. Awesome. Well, it's good to be working with you once again. You're in a sort of assist role slightly, so don't expect to be as important as Alan. It's Did you see she took over from me? Unbelievable.
She waltzed away with the show, Erika. She was amazing.
She was really very good.
I
was happy to let her take over because she was so good. I was like, wow. Cool. We're starting in a couple of minutes. Please let me see some faces. And do put in your name where you are. Oh, bonsoir, France. Hello, Indonesia. Who else is in the house? Bibi, Beth. Getting some regulars now. If I recognize you, that probably means you're at far too many of these sessions. Hello, Laura. Hello, Amanda.
Ruth
Hello,
has a question. Ruth, if you have the all access pass, the sessions will be emailed to you. Sorry. Ooh, fancy.
Woo, all access pass. When someone says all access pass, you have to go, woo, fancy. That's the game.
So they will come to you. They just don't come through immediately. They take a little bit of time to get it all together.
Who's got the all access pass? If you have, put something fancy in the reactions so we can see how posh you are. There's my private helicopter. Got my caviar. Let's see if you're fancy and you've splurged that $19. Steve to the devil. Beth's done a lipstick kiss. Fancy yet, Romy? That's what you have to do. It's what, you know the game now, right? Who's new? Give us a wave if this is your first session, or if you've got COVID cough. You will, Erika.
Got COVID.
You've been kissing the boys again. Did you get COVID?
Okay, we are on the hour, so pressing record. And let's get into this session. Welcome everybody to this session on how trauma is stopping you from putting yourself out there, with our own Mark Walsh and the fabulous Erika Chalkley. My name's Thea Ellison. I'm your host for today, and I'm also the tech host. So if you're having any Zoom problems, let me know and we'll struggle through it together one way or another. But let me introduce Mark and Erika, and then a little bit of housekeeping before we get started. So Mark, many of you will know him already for his amazing work with Embodiment Unlimited, with the Embodiment Conference. He said in a session yesterday that he used embodiment to heal his own trauma, and then he just forgot to stop. And so here he is doing more and more and yet more, and spreading the good stuff to as many people as he can. He's worked with many different groups, worked in war zones, he's worked with street kids, he's worked with the Russian LGBTQ plus communities, with police, with aid workers, etc., etc.
Yeah.
And Erika is an absolute stalwart of Embodiment Unlimited. She's a somatic coach and a meditation teacher. She's worked with many types of trauma. That includes suicide, drug and alcohol addiction, domestic violence, and working with ex-untouchable women in India. She focuses on helping women who are too nice to find their power. And I personally have watched Erika absolutely fly with her marketing in the last couple of years working with this group. So she's going to have some real gems to share with us today. Thanks to everybody here who is live, because that means you've got the All Access Pass. Woo! So we'd love you to turn your cameras on if possible, so that Mark and Erika have a bit of feedback and people to see, even if you're walking the dog or messing around in the kitchen or lolling about in bed. It provides great feedback. We also ask that you don't engage in too much side chat and conversations in the chat. Please keep your focus in the session, and that's how you're going to get the best outcomes yourself. If you're watching on replay, think about buying an all access pass. It gives you access to the Zoom room. Oh, ooh, fancy. It gives you access to the Zoom room live and to see unlimited sessions later, which I promise you're going to want. The few I've attended have been amazing. And Q&A sessions at 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. UK time, which is 7 a.m. and 1 p.m. Eastern time. These are done by Roger Mills, who is a therapist specializing in PTSD, and the Embodiment Unlimited therapist, Patricia Aguirre. We would love you to share the good stuff. So please share. I'm going to put a link in.
Who shared? Give us a heart if you've shared, so I can send you some love.
Shared, we can want to give you the love back.
Who's the trauma education dealers? Where are my fellow dealers? Yes. Stick a little heart up.
Yeah, don't be afraid to sell this on shady corners to anybody who'll listen. You're doing them a favor. We'll tell you more about the courses available at the end, but there is a link there if you want to get an early look at things. And before we start, a little check-in, please, everybody. How are you resourced at the moment? Have a think. Have you been watching loads of sessions back to back and you're feeling a bit over it? If you're a bit tight or stretched, then maybe, and it's not going to be kind to you to watch this session now, then feel free to take a break. You know, your well-being is the priority here. If you might be better served by one-to-one therapy, have a think about this, because this is education. It's not therapy. So we won't be able to address any of your deep personal questions here. Many of our teachers have been there in the worst of trauma responses. And so there's absolutely no judgment on you, but you do need to be robust for our work. Please don't binge. We know you. We do know you, and we know you do. So take some breaks. If you get agitated, if you get spaced out, take a chance to move, to breathe, to feel your feet, to get back into your body.
Do what Robin's doing, who looks like he's on a paddleboard. I think coolest person of the conference so far goes to Robin for tuning. Did you see him? I think it's gone now. There he is. Robin Parry, you're the man. Okay, if you're scared of topless men, trigger warning. I'm gonna spotlight him. Okay, so you can listen to these sessions anywhere, including on a paddleboard, like our Robin. So do be outside sometimes, right? Like if I had Wi-Fi, I'd totally be doing that in Moscow.
This is a man who knows how to work with his trauma. Absolutely brilliant. And also on that little warning, just know that these sessions have humor in them. We try not to think about things very seriously, but we also like to have a laugh as we're addressing them. So if we're
going to get Robin a boyfriend or a girlfriend, that's how much fun we have. Robin, tell us what you like, put it in chat, we'll find out who's single. Okay. This is how we make trauma fun. If you're tuning in from Portland and you're up early and you're like writing the letter of complaint, it's going to go in the bin with all the others. Okay. So we're here to have fun like Robin is.
So you can see what it's going to be like. If that's for you, stay. If it's not for you, do leave now. And I'm going to hand over to Mark and Erika for the next half hour.
Thank you so much. Okay. How you doing? How is everyone? Day 2. I just had a walk in the sun, a bit of shaking from my own vicarious trauma from being around this for 2 days. Everyone okay? Give me a sign. Me and Erika. Erika's assisting me today, so German feminists don't get upset if I speak more than her. Though we are in blue and pink. Look at that. Oh, I'm gonna get us in trouble. This session is about how trauma, and remember, that could be low level. It's anything overwhelming. It doesn't have to be war or abuse or something like you might have heard of. How trauma, we all have trauma, affects our issues with money and marketing, being seen in what I'll broadly call the marketplace. Yeah. When I say the word money out loud in your first language, whether you're watching the recording or live, say the word money out loud.
Money.
Yeah. Now say the name of someone you love. Anyone at all? Come on, Erika. Who do you love?
Mokshidi.
Mokshidi is really cool, actually. So if there's any difference in your breath and embodiment between those 2 words, you may have what's known as fucking issues, mate. Okay, so nearly all of us have something going on with money. Why we'll come into, trauma is often about existential threat, and money, like food, is one of those things that's pretty existential. Yeah, like in the modern world, it's hard to survive without it. Yeah, most of us carry a lot of stuff around this, a lot of baggage, and it doesn't help. Like me and Erika, we come from the Alabama of England. Is the best way to describe it. We come from a rural working class area where cousins marry and drugs are freely available. And this is where we grew up, right? And what was the narrative, Erika, you heard about money or marketing or business growing up?
Well, definitely money was scarce and you had to save. Like that, it wasn't abundant. There wasn't enough of it and you had to save it really diligently. And then I guess like growing up around people, like when someone would pull up in a nice car, it'd be like, oh, what a wanker. Or like, what's he compensating for?
Penis. Yeah, as soon as you saw a nice car. Yeah, it was always the comment. And this feeling of scarcity. Now, I've lived in the poorest places in the world. I've lived in the slums of Brazil, East Africa, various places, Afghanistan. And I've worked with some of the richest people in the world. Like here in Moscow, some of my clients would regard this as the cheap caviar, not the good black stuff, right? The black caviar is more expensive. I have oligarch clients who have lots of money in the bank, but still have a feeling of scarcity, right? Equally, I've been around some very poor people who are very generous and don't have that feeling of scarcity. Now, I'm not saying all people are equal. I'm not saying there isn't inequality. I'm not saying that there isn't real issues in the world. We're just looking at the trauma side of it personally, all right? Of course, there are inequalities, differences, problems. Do I think we live in the perfect economic system? Of course not. Okay, would I like to see a fairer world? Of course I would. Of course I would. Now, Erika too's worked, in the with untouchables. In that's not an insult, by the way. That's what they called in India, right? The people that from
Dalit is the re-owning word, yeah. So Dalit, yeah.
So we are aware that there's real poverty in the world, and most of us aren't from that, right? Most of us aren't tuning in from the slums of Brazil or Sudan or somewhere. Most of us are from the Western world. And yet this feeling of scarce, we're all in the 1%. By the way, if you're here, you're in the 1%, or at least the 5%. The feeling of scarcity I grew up with this sense in the body of there's not quite enough, right? Like my dad was often not working because he was drinking. My mum had a sort of admin type job in a school, just about got by. We didn't go to restaurants, we didn't have family holidays abroad. I had to go to Scotland and get rained on. And did you have holidays in Scotland or Wales, Erika? Or did you travel up in Spain? Any?
We didn't have any holidays until I was a teenager. I would just go and visit my grandparents in like Hampshire area.
Yeah. So this feeling always was there's not quite enough. No, you can't quite do that school trip or that whatever. And that is a felt sense in the body. Does anyone know what I'm talking about? If you've ever been in Detroit or Sao Paulo slums or many places in the world, you'll feel this. Yeah. And that sense, like my rich Russian coaching clients, By the way, I have a Robin Hood principle in Russia. I do workshops with the gay community for free or for very little. And I take that money from Russian corporations so I have time to do it. That's a little bit of what we do in all our courses, by the way, is we have a free offering so everyone can get some access to the good stuff. And in this case, we also have a really cheap product, cheaper than any of our other products, because we want people to get it. And also we have a sort of, you know, fancy thing for facilitators who might have more money because one pays for the other. Yeah, one pays for the other. That's, in an imperfect world, the best we have figured out we can do. Where was I? Yeah, the feeling of scarcity, even if someone has a lot of money in the bank, can still be there. Anyone familiar with that personally, that feeling of not enough? It might live as, you know, it's basically a fight-flight response, right? It's the same shit we've been talking about with everything else. Yeah, so that trauma response in the body can come from the, you know, trauma can be like a big event. Like I had trauma from a car crash, or I saw someone shot once in Brazil. I can give you fucking trauma, okay? But trauma can also come developmentally, just from those little daily paper cuts of, don't spend that. No, you can't have an extra chocolate bar. Don't buy that. I'm not sure if you've got money for that. And in my household, it was just, I had an image in my mind of my parents with a load of papers spread on the table. And one of them's clutching his head and the other one's crying. And they're looking at all these bills and they're saying, how do we do this? How do we pay this? And they're saying, don't worry, mum and dad will take care of it, because they're trying to be good parents, you know, they're trying to say to the kids, don't worry. But me and my sister could feel that shit. Mm-hmm. No matter, we didn't quite know what it was about. We didn't quite understand the nature of gas bills and credit cards, but we could feel something was up. You know what I'm talking about, Erika?
Yeah, as you're talking, the image that I have is my mum used to have envelopes. So to make sure she could afford everything, she would like take her pay out each week and like put it into these different envelopes, you know, so that when the bill came at the end of the month, she knew she had that amount. So I just have this image of her like squirreling the money and making sure it was all kind of okay before any treats or anything. And also just never treating herself to anything, or because she was saving.
And another way this can work is if someone's traumatized, maybe nothing to do with money, just, you know, attacked or, you know, whatever the thing in life is, they can develop a self-esteem problem. Okay, so I was attacked, so therefore I must not be good, right? Because the world must be bad. And I'm, you know, this is what meaning making, I'm a bad person somehow. And of course that's a mistake, but it's also a meaning making. It's a pattern to make sense of the world. And that can lead to, I don't deserve money, right? I don't deserve to be wealthy, or I don't deserve to be seen, or it's not safe to be seen. So Erika is one of my Padawan success stories. She had many talents before she met me, of course, but I think it's fair to say that I helped you become better at being seen in the marketplace and in the world. Is that fair to say, Erika, or the embodied work that you did with me and various colleagues?
Yeah, I would say that without the work that I did with you, all those talents wouldn't have reached many people.
Right. So really all market, thank you, that's lovely to hear, Erika, because you do have a lot of talents. So all marketing really is letting people know how you can help them. That's all it is. Now there's what I call Sith marketing as opposed to Jedi marketing, which is lies and bullshit, manipulation and inauthenticity, blah, blah, blah. Okay, we all don't like that. I think we can agree on that. But marketing in its truest form is simply letting people know how you can help them. So why the fuck would you not do that? Not marketing is evil. That's my claim. Not letting people know how you can help them is somewhat bizarre until you think, hang on, because you know, Erika gets money, client gets help, all the women who are too nice get supported, everybody's happy, right? Okay. But if there's a trauma-related self-esteem issue, or I can't be safe if I'm visible, right? Now, I didn't have this pattern. I don't know if you've noticed, all right, but a lot of people have had this pattern that I've worked with, the trauma-related pattern of, I did have the working class one of, I identify as working class, therefore I can't get rich because that would make me a bad person. Mm-hmm. Okay, that was an identity kind of issue, not really a trauma issue. So identity compensation, that's called. However, many of my students have had the pattern of being nice, so they don't really negotiate properly. Tell you what, Erika, I was negotiating with her about our latest product a couple of months ago, and she was like badass, didn't take any crap from me, and I was like, who taught you that? She was like, you did. I was like, oh my god. So you know, that being able to like hold your own, ask for what you want, hold boundaries, This really applies in business. Yeah. And there's some evidence actually that one reason women sometimes get paid less in different jobs is that they don't negotiate as hard. They don't ask for what they want. Yeah. And I'm not saying we don't also live in a sexist world, blah, 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 blah. You could have a very feminist frame on that and it would be fine. But if we don't ask for what we want, if we don't hold boundaries, if we don't negotiate, it doesn't work. Yeah, and this can come from these trauma-related self-esteem issues, boundary issues that are trauma-related, chronic helping. Is anyone one of those? Like, I have to keep giving. I have to keep giving because that, love me, please love me. Okay, so yeah, someone's doing it. Hey, Karina, how's it going? So we've all got different issues, right? And most of them connect with money at some point. Most of them, yeah, whether it's have to be seen, can't be seen, have to be generous. Equally, someone who's too contracted around not enough, that's terrible for business. Yeah, so I have many faults, as you can all see. Yeah, I'm a terrible person in many ways, but one of my strengths is I'm generous. Is that fair to say, Erika?
Yeah.
For a few years. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I came on to, I don't know if you remember this, but I came on to the first thing I did with you on a bursary.
I did not know that. So that's nice to be told. That's cool. So where was I? Generosity is actually really good for business. Yeah, really good for business. Like, we give a lot away and we get a lot back. That's kind of how this company works. Every 2 months, we take £150,000 gamble and hopefully it comes back. Yeah, we like to be generous in what we do and it usually pays off. Okay, and it does come from the heart. It doesn't come from just a sort of skeptical marketing freemium model. There's a heart piece too that's really genuine. And I think people pick up on that. People actually feel. If you are in that fight or flight response, it's not very good for selling. Erika, please buy my thing. I need you to. Erika, I'm desperate. Buy my thing.
Oh my God, please don't DM me. That's my thing. Don't DM me with your offer.
Don't DM me with your offer. Don't be desperate. So being needy and desperate or being pushy, yeah, you have to buy the thing or else. Neither of those is great sales. Okay, neither of those feels good. Me and Tad Hargrave, Marketing for Hippies, highly recommend Tad. We came up with this idea together of trauma-sensitive marketing. So this is the idea of not scarcity selling all the time, not being like, you have to be afraid, not being pushy or a pushover. So if you think of trauma, it makes you basically one of those two things, fight or flight. Yeah, we can say freeze as well. That's inaction, which isn't very helpful. But flight being a pushover, fight being too pushy. There's a cultural piece here on top of this. Many countries have issues around marketing and selling. I notice a lot of my American students are American Israeli. They'll put themselves forward a lot more, right? And a lot of my European students just won't. Yeah. Like I'm doing a mentorship program at the moment. I got some ones from America saying, you should take me because I'm great. And they did this whole sales pitch. And I was just like, that is so not European. Yeah. There is, hello, child with Fabiana. You might want to have a headset on if she understands English, just because I swear really loudly. No, she doesn't. Okay, I'll teach her some English swearing. Don't we? So cool. All right, let's start with bugger. That's a good English swear word. Bugger it. So, what was I going to say? Erika, take over. I've lost track.
Oh God, I knew you were going to do that. Which point?
What's helped you get over your money trauma stuff? Either trauma that impacted money or money trauma.
Well, I think I still have money trauma stuff because no matter how much I earn, I still have that deep-rooted sense of anxiety around it. So that's still a working ground. What's helped me the most, though, in being able to build a successful business is learning to feel safe taking up space. So that's the bit you spoke to earlier. So I think historically as women, and also, other working class or other
working class blokes too. It ain't just women.
Yeah. For whatever reason, being visible was dangerous in our ancestry. Being a visible woman wasn't safe. Being vocal woman wasn't safe. That's in our blood. That's in our bones. And then what I witnessed growing up with women that are too nice in my lineage. And then also my own experience, stigmatized community, all of that. There was a sense of, I'm not good enough. I've got nothing to share. And if I do take up space, then it's dangerous. And I think until I worked with that, that the trauma of sort of smallifying, as Paul Linden calls it, and like wanting, like being safe when not being visible, it's not possible to run a business. So I had to work with that trauma basically, and that was most impactful. Was like, you know, I was thinking a year ago I did the embodiment conference. I lost 8 kilograms in the build up to that because it was so anxiety provoking, the idea of having such a big audience, you know. So it's just sort of working with that trauma, I think, has been the most impactful to business. Yeah.
The new patented stress diet.
Yeah, exactly.
And sometimes I reassure you sometimes, don't I? It's nice to have a mentor or a friend or, you know, a colleague who's like, we love you, it's okay, you're great, we all need that reassurance. Even me, believe it or not. I was talking to my therapist just earlier. So,
and also to push me over the edge as well. You know, I've got a great photo of sitting with an ice cream when I was too afraid to get my first one-to-one client. Mark bought me an ice cream and then organized my first one-to-one client. So there was that experience. And then the embodiment conference, you know, that sort of just being pushed over the edge like a bird that's ready to fly but needs a bit of tough love. Yeah,
tough love as well as soft love, right? You need both sometimes. We give you both. And me and Daria took you to the spa. Remember that? We're at Buddhafield. We're at a hippie festival. It was raining. And Daria went, oh, this is unacceptable. But they have found on Google there is a nice spa 5 miles from here. So we left the hippie festival and took Erika with us for a bit of luxury in a nice spa hotel for the day. Because it's something to get used to, money. Because it's uncomfortable if you come from where we come from. It's uncomfortable. Yeah, like a lot of trauma, people replicate, not because it's good, but because it's comfortable. People do what feels familiar, not what's good for them. This is one of the horrors of trauma, actually, one of the horrors. So learning to be comfortable, whether it's asking for money, spending money, all of these things, being seen in the marketplace, making your offer. There's a lot of good reframes around sales and marketing that will help. Tad Hargrave, George Kao, these are all people I recommend, Kao for Kao. There's various other people out there, but they're 2 good ones that friends of mine actually as well now. So you don't have to be sleazy to be a marketer, right? I hope our marketing is fun and playful, for example. But actually you need 3 skills for good marketing, none of which are compatible with a lot of trauma. Most important one, anyone guess, for sales and marketing? Listening. We're constantly asking you guys on stuff on Facebook. Have you noticed that? What do you like? What do you think of this? Do you like this title? Do you like that title? Constantly trying to tune into you guys, what you're into, and we can find that sweet spot between what you guys love and what we love to sell. Yeah. Second thing, creativity. Think of this just neurologically. Fight flight system engaged. Okay, sympathetic nervous system arousal, no ventral vagus going on. You're not creative. Okay, we have creative ideas every day. The biggest problem for my marketing team is I give them too many creative ideas. Erika, you've seen that in action, right? They're just like, not another good idea. We shit creativity. That's one of my superpowers. That's actually a trauma-related superpower.
Yeah.
Problem solving. Yeah. That's one of mine from trauma, not despite trauma. So, but trauma itself, not compatible with empathy and listening, creativity, or we could say courage, making a stand, being seen, because it's quite vulnerable running a business. People that have never run a business don't really get this. It's quite vulnerable to stand up in the marketplace and say, hey, I have something to offer.
Yeah, and I would go so far as to say that entrepreneurship, and I did a webinar on this Embodiment Unlimited a while ago, entrepreneurship has been one of my healing paths, like for my trauma. Like it's not only has healing my trauma helped my entrepreneurship, but entrepreneurship has been the path that I needed to really go beyond my trauma. So yeah.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, anyone like spiritual practices? I do. I would say it's the best spiritual practice maybe is parenting. The second best, okay, is running a business. It shits on yoga.
Yeah.
Okay. As a practice of vulnerability, courage, empathy, creativity, it shits on yoga. And I love yoga. Okay. So business, it's not for the faint-hearted in many ways. And this is why if you're in that constant fear response, scarcity response, it's going to seem like too much. And this really holds a lot of working class people or people from certain ethnic groups back. It really does. Women, Erika mentioned it. We're not on an equal playing field, right? Class is a big one. The Americans tend to miss because America's supposed to be classless. Big one in the UK. And it holds people back. And when I've worked with kind of say, I don't know, young Black working class people that want to be entrepreneurs, you can get it in your head, but you've got to get it in your body. because if it's coming from that place of I can't be seen or scarcity, it just won't land. People just won't do the homework I give them, I've noticed. So the trauma work is part of this, but as Erika says, it's also a practice in and of itself. The practice of being seen and going, oh my God, I got criticized and I didn't die. How's that, Erika? You getting better at being criticized and people hating you and all that good stuff?
Yeah, much better. And I don't die. So I'm not, not dead yet. And I'm not universally loved. So yeah. And I would just like to add something, I think, as well, like around marketing and business, I think is also a real opportunity to level the playing field. Like, I think it's like, the capitalist system is not perfect. I would love to overthrow it as much as the next left winger.
Much as the next anarchist hippie.
But I do think for those of us from disadvantaged backgrounds, actually, it does offer an opportunity to really gain financial independence and therefore the power to influence, So it's worth it, I would say.
Yeah, so I would teach business skills in any working class community as a mandatory thing, but without the trauma work, it wouldn't work.
Yeah,
it doesn't always work. Sometimes that's overridden by certain cultural factors and certain subgroups, but the trauma work's the big one. The identity piece is the other one, but we haven't got time to go into that. Hopefully you've had some takeaways from this. Do you want to write those in the chat for your benefit, and so we can get a bit of feedback as well? How do I stretch my boundaries at the same time going into trauma space? There's only one answer to all your questions, and that is practice. Okay, but practice in a calibrated way. So not too much, not too little. Find that sweet spot. That is the answer to all questions you will ask. So just practice, not too much, not too little. With trauma, we've got to find that sweet spot. Sometimes the analogy Pete Levine gives is like pressure in a bottle and letting the pressure out gently bit by bit. Yeah. So, with Erika, it took a few years to get to a place where she could do a webinar for 1,000 people without crying. Yeah. So that's what she did the other day, and I was so proud. So
yes. Didn't lose any weight before it.
Oh, it's rubbish. Diet's rubbish now. It doesn't work anymore. So yes, people can come a long way. I've seen Erika do it. I've seen a bunch of my students do it, and I've done it myself. Like no one in my family I'm from an Irish immigrant family. No one's ever had any money in my family. There's been a few soldiers, a few teachers, a few artists that were poor, but no one had any money. And I remember when we did the embodiment conference, we were in debt a lot of the time, and right at the end we made some money. And I was the first person in my family that made £1 million. And I had £1 million in the bank for 5 hours until I paid everyone. And I did a screenshot and I sent it to my auntie and said, could you imagine Granddad, I couldn't write his own name, Irish immigrant, seeing this, It was like, whoa, really big thing for us as a family. And also pushback from my family. Who do you think you are? Mr. Fancy Pants, whatever. So there's often that too. So a lot of trauma issues around money, a lot of stuff that you can do. Beginning with the healing as ever, that I say this is something we can all work on, whether we're rich or poor, whatever our cultural background, gender, etc. And I don't know, I feel like there's hope and there's good things that can do. Cool. So we're wrapping up as ever. If you want to tell your friends, please do give us a love heart. If you've already told your friends on social media, that really, if you've got no money and you want to say thank you and help us out, that's a really good way to do it. Much appreciated. You might want to start going, all right, do I want to go further with this? Obviously, we're still early in the week. There's still a lot of sessions, but you might want to have a look at like what else is on offer. I think we've sold about 100 of Alan's kind of cheap work already. It's interesting. I still notice it now, despite being relatively comfortable compared to many people in my field, particularly around trauma, because there's this story, Erika. I don't want people to feel like we're taking advantage of damaged people. Or I don't want to sell because that will make me a bad person. That's still there in me. I can feel it in my system, as opposed to we're offering something good. It's pretty reasonably priced. Do you want it? If you don't, that's okay. There it is. Have a look at it. Yeah, which like logically, that's not a bad thing to do, but I still feel it. Okay, thank you so much for coming, everyone. We have more sessions today. Can our host show us what's going on, Thea?
Certainly can. Yeah, we have some great sessions coming up still. Let me share the relevant page. Where's it gone? There we go. So some great sessions coming up. We've got Hendrik Oberman coming up next on trauma team Arbeit. I'm afraid I don't know what that is actually.
What are you looking at? Okay.
It's in German. That's a German session.
That's
helpful. That's why we were confused.
And later we've got sleeplessness, we've got being sick with trauma. So there's loads of good stuff coming up today. Plenty
Deb Dana. Deb is really good. Check out Deb. She's polyvagal theory woman. She's very good. Yeah.
Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for a great session. And Erika, it's been really great as always. And thank you, everybody. Do share the word. Keep turning up. Keep looking after yourself. And
don't overdo it. I'm going to stay for Q&A for a little bit for the people who are in the fancy pants all access pass. Those of you in the cheap seats, it's goodbye. I'm sorry. That's how capitalism works. I'm so sorry. Time to say goodbye. So we'll stop the recording and the live stream. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, Erika. Thanks. Do 10 minutes of Q&A if you guys want it. As a nice thank you for helping us out and turning up. It's so much easier when I can see you laugh at all my good jokes and scowl at my awful ones. It's very helpful. Any questions for us? Do type them.
There was a question earlier for Erika, if you're up for that, Erika, about kind of a bit more specific about how you stepped into that bigness, your bigness. Somebody asked for a bit more information on actually how you did it.
Through embodiment. So before coming to embodiment, I had read all the confidence books and I had done all the talk therapy, and I went to a 12-step group, that sort of stuff. And so I sort of knew that my issues really, really well. I was really mindful. I had meditation practice. I was super mindful of the issues. But what I couldn't do, and what I now understand is my nervous system couldn't do, was embody something different. I didn't know what the alternative was, really. And so when I came to embodiment, I did EFC with Mark, and it was all about taking up space, finding power, finding agency. So I did karate, I took up weightlifting to sort of build that range in my